comes in the contemporary style, so it's flat. So you really could use this for multiple uses, not just in the kitchen. I had bought extra piece because when I did remodel the kitchen, I knew I needed a desk area, I needed a bar area, and I knew that I was going to have some type of an eating nook over here. Countertop from IKEA. Now it's in the slate color family, and I cannot remember the exact name of it. It's the Bracken series, and I think this one is just listed as gray. What I love about this is it's one of the countertops that comes in the contemporary style, so it's flat. So you really could use this for multiple uses, not just in the kitchen. I had bought extra piece because when I did remodel the kitchen, I knew I needed a desk area, I needed a bar area, and I knew that I was going to have some type of an eating nook over here. Now, aquascaping had not entered my world yet and obsessed me and took over. Like a good weed does in your garden. That's what it has done to me. So when I was looking for placement, I was like, let's just use what I've got. Let's make it as cheap as possible. So I had this piece. It's just over 8 feet. It's 8 feet 2 inches. And the only thing I purchased for this was the legs that it was going to sit on. Originally, and when I turn the lights on bright, you'll see it. I had this tabletop raised to its height position, which is 36 inches. The legs are adjustable, which is what I love about it. And right now, at the making of this video, the only tabletop legs that you can get that are adjustable out there in the world, according to even Amazon, and every vendor I check with, is IKEA. IKEA offers these really sturdy legs that you just put them in, set it at your setting, and then easy, just leave it. If I can show you here, and you'll be able to see it a lot better whenever I turn the lighting on, but actually here is the legs that I'm talking about. So they're nice metal legs. So the tabletop is mounted with the legs, but then it's also secured to the wall itself, so it's not going anywhere. When I wanted to build the mantel for the fireplace, I had this left over. This is a 6-foot shelf. I also was able to make a shelf in the hallway that is also 6 feet, but a little bit narrower than this one. This is where the majority of the build is going to go for the very first series, the Trinity tanks. And if you missed the first video, I have 3 tanks in mind that I'm calling them the Trinity. The name just popped into my head. They already have their main one component of their hardscape that I've already secured, and it's going to be 3 tanks with one theme. So they're going to be sitting very close. They're oblong tanks. They're 20 inches long. They're going to sit basically right next to each other, and it's going to be one scene or one vignette, one art stall that's going to have a common theme with it. Now, drop up to the upper tier here. I originally wanted another shelf. And you may ask me, why did you go to all this trouble? You could have bought aquarium shelving, much less expensive than what I might have paid for this. I did source shelving, and I did not have the heart to put industrial type shelving in my living room when I spent so much effort getting it modernized. And every really pretty shelf system that I looked at, like there's a couple of websites where they've used nanotakes on a shelving, and it looks absolutely beautiful because it's in their living room as well. But in all of my shopping and scouring online, the most height I would end up with above my tank, and that includes lighting that's going to go there, was about 4 inches. And I want to put plants growing out of my aquarium. So I needed a lot of height. So that's why you see the difference between here and here and here and here. So up here, I was out scrounging in nature, found this beautiful set of limb that prompted me to immediately go online and find a battery-operated chainsaw. And I was really, really lucky. I found one on clearance at Walmart for $30 that I went and picked up, and went back the very next day and chopped this in half so I could put it in my car because it was one big, huge piece. And this has been secured into every 2x4 in the wall, so it's not going anywhere. The only ones that are a little tentative are the ones that come out so straight far out. The point of this, I want to have this part of your immersive environment for the art install. I really want to have living moss growing on this with air plants, with house plants that vine. I want this all to be one immersive situation going on here. I have been collecting terrestrial moss since September. I did originally cover this in moss. Misted it several times during the day. Went on a 3-day trip. Oh, by the way, yes, I'm a full-fledged flight attendant with a full schedule. Came back, my moss was dead. I was devastated. It was dried up completely, and most of it was barely hanging onto the limb, and a lot of it had just fallen. So I immediately took everything off, put it back into the growing chamber, and hopefully it will revive itself. But it left me with the skeleton again, and then now we're going to get to the point where I got to get more creative about how to get my moss to grow up there. So that's almost like a little science project that I'm working on to see if I can get that to work. So now let's talk about the structure over here, the light fixture. This is a custom light fixture that I built that I had specifically in mind for a set of 3 vessels right here. It's going to be a bowl tank, a cylinder, which may just grow Vallisneria in it, and that's it, and then a terrarium, and they're going to be placed right here together. What prompted me to build this is I did buy a light fixture on Amazon to test out, a little tabletop that was a full spectrum. It only costed like $11. I get it in, I set it up, and I'm looking, and I put it here with the bowl, and I'm like, that's not really enough light. I'm going to need more of these because I've got 3 pieces that are going in here. How am I going to solve a problem of putting in 3 vessels tight together with a light source that can accommodate all of them? I did not want to put like 5 of these desk lamps together in a cluster. I just came up with the idea on the spot, which is kind of funny, or we can say on the fly, because that is my tagline. That's how I do my remodeling. I am presented with an obstacle and I work a way around it. This is actually a shelf that's left over from a closet remodel that I did. And I brought them to Texas when I moved here. So I have 4 of them. There's this one, there's 2 above the doorway, which fit perfectly above the doorway. And I've got one that's covering up the firebox on the fireplace. The bark is courtesy of Mother Nature. On, I think it was my 2nd walk through a park, I came across a tree that had completely died intact, meaning none of the limbs were broken off. They were still there, and the bark had just separated and slid down. When I brought this home, I knew immediately that I could make a light out of it. That is just kind of how my brain works. The lighting that's inside of here is leftover lighting from the spotlighting. So this lighting color does not match this one, or this one. That's the part that kind of bugs me, that I didn't plan my lighting out a little bit stronger in the very beginning, but things develop as they're going on, which is, we just have to adapt to it. That's what's all about being creative. You just got to find your solution. So the only thing I had to buy for this was the cord to plug in the lights, which ties into these lights here, which now will turn them on so you can see what I'm talking about. I will say that my favorite style of lighting actually are the ones that connect end to end. So you can see up here, here's the end of the line, here's the connector, it goes right next to the next light, the connector goes to that next light, and so on and so on. Comes down, has its own timer, and there's 5 settings on this one. So let's turn it on. This is actually one of my favorites because it does have the 5 settings. And there's setting 1. Oh, right. Should be 5. Yes. There we go. The reason why I wanted multiple settings here is because until the greenery is full, this will have moss on it and it will have air plants. I don't want to overpower anything. I don't want anything to burn out up here just because my lighting is too intensive. So that's why I went with this style of lighting. I went with this single trim light because I wanted to try and hide this as much as possible. Trust me, when I had the moss up here, the cords and everything just disappeared. And you could see some of the lighting, yes, but it'll, oh my God, even for me to say this, it looked incredible. That's why I was really sad all the last night. Now, so we have the shelf here. The tanks are 10 gallons each. We're gonna have 3 10-gallon tanks sitting up here. Just as a precaution, I mean, these brackets that are holding this up, they're into the studs as well. And they're each rated for like 250 pounds each, which I'm not sure they can usually hold that, but they're very heavy duty. And they're bolted through. So I didn't take a chance of them slipping or anything like that. So the lighting here is going to be full spectrum and it's really bright. Okay, so now you can see some of the damage I did to the wall when I moved it down. I went ahead and put my leftover wood here because when you're sitting and watching television, the sight line right here is really annoying. So this is going to get filled in with probably some sphagnum moss and plants that are going to be growing out of whatever we put here. And these are my anchor points. These go into the studs. I'm trying to see if I can get the moss to grow there. I have another one for down here, but I don't know if I need it yet, so I just secured the 2 first. I had anticipated putting smaller limbs between them, and if I don't put a tank here, I would always put something that's growing here. This is the area so far where I've been doing all my work. So this is where I've been sitting and looking at placement for the tanks. So I'm using basically the whole place. Now you can see that the lighting now has come on for the 3 install over here. I'm not worried about the damage here, it's worse here. What happened is, I was pulling with the structure getting attached to the wall so tight that it pushed the sheetrock tighter to the studs than it ever had been. So everything just, the former screws just kind of like pushed their way out. So I could fix it, I could cut them out, put it over and texture it again because I texture these walls anyway. But right now I'm just not going to go to all that because we're going to cover it up anyway. It's really not going to show. What's next is the lighting underneath the table, and you'll see the reason for the drapery. This is our growth chamber. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of lighting that's coming from it.